Hi, my name is Ed White. I'm Director of Operations here at Onset Computer Corporation. Today we're going to talk about some industrial applications of Onset's HOBO motor on-off data loggers. These data loggers can be used for machine utilization and duty cycle studies, and the first step in doing that is to launch them with our HOBOware Pro software. The first step in doing a machine runtime study is to launch our data logger. Today we're going to be using a U9004, which is a motor on-off data logger. And we simply take the USB cable, plug it into the USB port, and launch it with the software, HOBOware. A couple of clicks. The software sees the logger, tells us the status of the logger, that the battery is good and so forth, and we launch it. Now we can unplug it and the logger is ready to go to be mounted on the machinery. Now that we have our U9004 HOBO motor on-off data logger launched, we're ready to install it in the application. Today we're going to install it on this compressor, and specifically on the AC motor on the compressor. And because the AC motor has a steel housing, we're going to use the magnetic mount to attach it. And we have to attach it as close as possible to the place on the motor where the coil is. That's where it gives off the magnetic field that this logger can detect. This logger can store up to 43,000 on-off cycles, so this will give us a good amount of data to understand the machine utilization and duty cycle on this compressor. So I'll simply install it on the housing, and as soon as the compressor kicks on, we'll start storing the information and collecting it for us. Now that we've been collecting data for a couple of days on our compressor, I brought the logger back to the computer. I'm going to offload the data and see what we got. Offloading data is real simple. You just simply connect the USB cable to the USB connector on the side of the logger. Software recognizes it. Click readout. It's offloading the data. And save the file. At this point, we can take a look at the plot of the data, though you probably won't see it very well on your screen. And there's a graph of the data that we collected. At this point, I'm going to turn the rest of the presentation over to Herm, and he's going to take a look at doing some additional analysis of the data and how we can utilize that.
Thanks, Ed. This is Herm. I'm an application specialist at Onset Computer, and we're going to briefly talk about how to get information, valuable information from the data off the compressor. This is the file, the resultant file after several days of deployment, and you can see that there's quite a few on-off iterations here. Basically what we can do is we can use the magnifying tool here to stretch out our timeline, or compress our timeline I should say, and what you can see is that we've had a lot of on-off iterations here during the deployment, and they're fairly short in nature. This would be this would represent the off time, and this would represent the on time. If we go back to the original plot, select the arrow button, we can get runtimes from this data simply by selecting the series and then doing edit filter series. And in the different filters that you can apply and that are available for this type of data is your percent high and low, your seconds high and low, your total state changes, your total off to on, on to off and off to on cycles. So what most people are looking for in this type of data is runtimes. So runtimes would be delineated by seconds high. So if we click on that, it defaults to once a day. We could select it to once an hour, once a minute, once a second, or you can change this number to get weekly runtimes, 7 days, or monthly, 30 days, 31 days. And then the resultant new plot, you can change this this moniker for it if you'd like to represent daily runtime, something like that. So we'll leave that at the default and click on OK. And what that gives us is a little more meaningful data. For the purpose of this exercise, we can actually highlight the new data, and basically what you get is you get the total number of seconds per day that the unit was running. So you can see that, and if you divide that by 3,600, you'll get hourly run times per day. The other thing people like to use is, we're going to filter it yet again, the original plot. We can go how many times the machine turned on per day, say. So this is 0 to 1 changes. So again, if we click on this, that gives us the total number of run cycles per day. And for the purposes of clarity, you can actually, if you wanted to print this graph or export it, you can remove the original data for clarity. If we can go to edit again, and we'll just say remove series. And again, we're not deleting it from the actual data file, we're just clearing it out of this view. Click yes, and that is a lot more, it's clearer data as far as run times are concerned, which is the blue plot, and the green plot would be the number of on cycles per day. And then you can save this using HOBOware. You can save it as what's called a project file, and it will keep all these filters intact. And you can also export that, only this data and not the raw data. Hopefully you found this interesting, and if you need more information about our motor on-off or state loggers, visit our website at www.onsetcomp.com. Thank you.